All right, welcome to Module 5. This is our pre-module review. The objective for this lesson is I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide without a calculator. And we're just going to look at whole numbers because the rest of the module is going to be about doing this with decimals. So adding, there's 3 steps. If we have 53 plus 29 as our example problem, the first thing we want to do is line them up from the right. What that means is I want to set them up so I've got the first number on top, the second number on bottom, and notice they're lined up starting on the right. So each digit has a buddy. We add our plus sign and our line. Second step is we add one column at a time, and again we're going to start from the right. So I'm going to add 9 plus 3, so 9, 10, 11, 12. And if it's more than 9, we have to carry. So I'm going to put the 2 down here, and the 1 gets carried over the 5. Next, we add our next column. We have 2 plus 5, so 5, 6, 7. And then we add our 1 that we carried, that's 8. And there's our answer, 82. Subtracting is very similar. Here's our example problem, 81 minus 65. Again, we're going to line them up from the right, and I'm going to start with the first number on top, second number on bottom, because that's what we're taking away. We're going to subtract one column at a time and borrow if the bottom number is too big. So for example, I can't do 1 minus 5, because 1 is smaller than 5. So I'm going to have to go over to the 8, and I'm going to borrow 1 from it. So I'm going to cross out 8, and I'm going to make it a 7. I'm going to cross out my 1, and I'm going to make it an 11. So we add the 1 in front that we borrowed from the 8. Now I've got 11 minus 5, so 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Next we have 7 minus 6, leaves us with 1, and there's our answer. 81 minus 65 is 16. All right, next we're going to look at multiplying. There's a little more steps here. So here's our example problem. 235 times 13. This might feel a little overwhelming because this is a pretty big number, but it's very doable, I promise. We're going to start by lining them up from the right with the smallest number on bottom. 13 is smallest, so I'm going to put 235 on top. And when I say line up from the right, what I mean is 13 is going to be as far right as we can go, so the 3 is going to be on the right, and then the 1 will be next to it. And we are multiplying, so I have my multiplication symbol in my line. Next, we're going to multiply the first number by all of the tops. What that means is we're going to take this 3 as the first number on bottom, and I'm going to multiply it by everything on top before I move on to multiply the 1. So I'm going to do 3 times 5. Grab your multiplication chart, you get 15. And again, just like when we add, we're going to carry. So I put the 5 down and I carry the 1. Next, I'm going to do, so we did 3 times 5. Next, we're going to do 3 times 3, which is 9, plus that 1 is 10. So I'm going to put my 0 down here and carry that 1. And then we're going to do 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now, I've multiplied my 3 by all of the top numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and cross that out because we're done with it. And every time you cross a number out, you need to put a placeholder 0. So we carried over 9. We place a 0 down here to represent the fact that we're moving from the 1's place to the 10's place. We used up these 1s, so we're done with those as well. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to multiply the 1 times the 5, the 1 times the 3, and the 1 times the 2. So 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times 2 is 2. All right, we repeated, we multiplied everything. There's no more numbers, so we are done with that part. Now we are just going to add our 2 rows here. 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 7 plus 3 is 10. Carry my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. And we're done. 235 times 13 is 3,055. All right, the last example we're going to look at is division. Here we have 756 divided by 14. When we do long division, and this is long division that we're going to look at, because that's what we're going to be looking at with our decimals, we're going to set up our division house. And the first number goes inside. So our first number is 756. So I'm going to put that inside, which means that 14 is going to go outside. Then we're going to go ahead and divide. I'm going to grab my multiplication chart to help me with this. Now, I might not know off the top of my head how many 14s can fit into 756, so I'm going to ignore the 6. 75 is a much smaller number. It's a lot easier to work with. So I'm going to figure out how many 14s can fit into 75 without going over. I'm going to look at my multiplication chart. Here's my row for 14. I'm going to see how close I can get to 75. There's 70. 84 is too big, so we're going to go with 70. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 14s to make 70. Because we're trying to go into 75, I'm going to put the 5 here. Because 14 can fit into 7 0 times, but it can fit into 75 5 times. So we divided. 14 can fit into 75 5 times. And then we multiply. 5 times 14 is 70, we just found on our multiplication chart. And then we subtract that. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 7 is 0. Now, 14 can't fit into 5, so we have to bring down our next number. This 6 that we ignored earlier, we're going to bring it in now. Now we have 14 into 56. So we're going to repeat these steps starting with number 2. We're going to divide. How many 14s can fit into 56? Let's check our multiplication chart. 14 can fit into 56 exactly 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So I put my 4 up top, and then we multiply 4 times 14 is 56. Subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. 5 minus 5 is 0. There's nothing to bring down because we've arrived at 0. So our answer is 54. And that's your long division refresher. All right, move on to lesson 5.1.